Hayden Clark from distance. Oh my goodness! He scores on his debut, and he does it again tonight.
I obviously just had to dig in at him and just tell him to go home and focus on his homework tomorrow.
I love Tim. He's like one of the dads in the team.
Big shot! It's tied! That was McKenzie flying up the middle.
It's a save by Melward, but then on the follow. No goal. There's been a foul call.
It's utterly ridiculous that that's not a goal.
Higuain the header. The Cincinnati Kid has buried it, and Cincinnati's back on top.
It's the MLS Weekend Preview presented by AT&T 5G. Susannah Collins and Calen Carr with you. And big news this morning. Brenden Aaronson on the move to Europe. Chicharito and the Galaxy still struggling. And, we're going to get you caught up on what to expect this weekend, Calen.
That's right. And Peter Vermees was not happy about this last result following SKC's loss to Dallas. The Fire have won their last 3 straight games at Soldier Field.
Let's go, Fire. All right, Montreal taking on Inter Miami. We got a glimpse of the Higuain bros on the field together Wednesday night. Lewis Morgan, 3 goals, 2 assists in his last 4 games. Miami only 2 points back of Montreal for a playoff spot.
Yeah, he has been hot. Maxi Morales, though, might return for NYCFC. That is big news for them coming off a loss. And on the other side, Zelarayan, no Nagby, they're still out. Maybe Eloy Room, though. He might return in this one.
How about this kid? 17-year-old Caden Clark, the youngest player in MLS history to score in his first 2 games. Orlando City, though, unbeaten in a club record 11 straight games. Brian Rowe has been fantastic while filling in for Pedro Galese.
That's right. More on Caden Clark coming up. Nick Hagglund, though, is kind of stealing the show here.
What is going on?
Center backs, who says they don't know how to celebrate? We'll have to analyze that one later. They're coming up against DC United, who got a 2-2 draw versus Philly midweek.
All right, Toronto against Atlanta. Remember when this was the Eastern Conference Championship matchup last year? Yeah, not so much anymore. TFC, the first team to clinch a playoff spot, unbeaten in 8 straight, Calen.
It's Darwin time. It's the Darwin Bowl. I don't know how many. They played a bunch of these, and Darwin has scored in most of them. Darwin, 7 goals, 5 assists for Houston, but Houston hasn't kept a clean sheet on the road since 2018.
Come on, Houston. What is going on?
H-Town.
Portland taking on LAFC. Portland's 5-game win streak ended Wednesday. They are tied with Seattle for the top spot in the West. But which LAFC team is going to show up? The one that won 3-1 against Seattle or lost 2-1 to Vancouver? I don't know.
Yeah, we know which LA team is happening right now. It's not looking good on the other side. But for Vancouver, Cavallini with a brace in their last game, and the Whitecaps right now are in a playoff spot, Susannah.
What? So are San Jose, and they're taking on Seattle. They have won 4 of their last 5 games. 3 of those, though, wins over the Galaxy twice, and Vancouver, just saying, big test against the defending champs this Sunday night. Let's go. Here's a look at the Western Conference standings. Calen, what's standing out to you here?
Well, Susannah, we have become accustomed to seeing things come down to the wire in the playoffs in MLS over the years, but I think this year might take the cake, because if you look right now between 4 and 11, it's pretty much anyone's game right now. Teams swinging wildly in either direction, so the West, outside the top 3 really, is up for grabs right now.
Yeah, kind of the same situation in the Eastern Conference. We have Toronto and Philly both clinching their spot in the playoffs this week. But then look at the teams hovering just above and below that playoff line. You know, you've got Atlanta in there right now, but Chicago, Miami, even Cincinnati have a chance to get above that line. So it's going to be a crazy finish to this regular season. A lot can happen. Can happen. Calen Carr. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the MLS Weekend Preview presented by AT&T 5G. I'm Susannah Collins. So happy to be joined by Calen. I like the Austin hat, buddy.
Thank you.
You're repping.
Repping. And, things are going well. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm hanging in. It's kind of a dreary day in New York on this Friday, but, it's the weekend, so I figured we would kick off the show having a little fun, because we saw some dance moves this week. One from Nick Hagglund, which you kind of referenced in earlier in the show. He scored what would be the game winner in that 2-1 win over Columbus. And then this, what is going on here? It's like this little. I mean, I'm so happy for him. He's a Cincinnati guy, but I don't know about what's going on there. And then Lucci, Dallas tweeted this out, and I mean, Lucci's got some moves. I just figured, let's get in the weekend mode. Remember when we used to like be able to go out and go to club, go dancing?
This is what going to the club in 2020 looks like. Post-game celebrations.
Who did it better?
Well, Higuain, I thought it initially like it was like a lasso thing, so I thought it was maybe like we're playing Nashville, and there was some of that, but then it's the icky shuffle, right? Cincinnati, hometown kid.
Is that what it is?
It's the Bengals. He was doing the rendition.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. You know
so
what?
I love the throwback. That's good.
That
but
makes
when you
it
add in
a little more palatable.
Dance moves, center back dance moves. I mean, generally terrible. All due respect to Bobby Boswell and Eddie Robinson and some of the center backs I played with in the past.
I love it.
But I would say coach dance moves, that goes up another notch. You have to give it to the manager in this one. Involving the kids, the party at home. I'm going Lucci in this one.
Lucci can do no wrong in my eyes. He's got great style. He's got great dance moves. Just well done. The dance moves are the chef's kiss in this one. All right. Something else that we want to talk about that is really fun. It's the year of brotherly love, Calen, because we have a bunch of brothers that are currently playing together on MLS teams. We've got the Higuain bros, the Roldan bros, the Chara bros, and the Slonina bros from Chicago. And
I wasn't aware of them. They're young guys, right?
I know. They're young guys. They're homegrowns, and they are from Addison, Illinois, not far from where I grew up.
There you go,
but this is, I love this. I think this is really cool. We got a chance to see the Higuain brothers together after Pipa joined his bro in
Who would
Miami.
you pick? If you have to pick, you got to pick between one of these.
Power
Who you
rankings,
taking?
like brother power rankings right now.
You got to look at them as a tandem. It's a team.
It's hard. I can't look past the Higuain brothers just based on resumes alone. They've both done pretty well for themselves.
Yeah. Chara brothers.
The Charas, though,
scoring goals.
I know. It's a tough one.
You gotta love
it's
the
a
Roldan.
toss-up. Well, who doesn't love the
I'm with you.
Roldans? All right. That was fun, though. More bros. More bros. There have been 18
started
brothers.
off with the heavy hitting stuff this week, Susannah.
Guys, it's Friday. We got to keep it light, It's in these dark times. We need to have a little fun. That's all I'm saying. It's the weekend, baby.
Cross ball, I'll knock it down. Chicharito. It was there for him again.
Today the word is frustration.
And it looks like it's just a Galaxy team that seems defeated.
I can't really say after tonight that anything looks promising.
As the Galaxy winless streak is now on to 7 games, and the losing streak is at 6.
Time now for our AT&T 5G call to the field, and today we are so honored to bring in MLS and U.S. men's national team legend, Mr. Cobi Jones. Cobi, it is always so great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm happy to be here, even under these circumstances.
Even under these circumstances, I know. We'll get to that in a bit. We're going to start out on a high, though. It is the 25th season of Major League Soccer, and this past week we saw it was the 25th anniversary of the first Western Conference final between the Galaxy and Sporting Kansas City that saw one of those old school run-up shootouts, Cobi, and you lived this. So I want to get your thoughts on the run-up shootout. Should we revisit this in present-day MLS? Because I'm kind of here for it.
I'm glad you like it. I'm a traditionalist as far as the game, so I'm happy to see it just be done and over with.
Cobi, this is a tradition. This is our tradition. What do you mean?
This wasn't the best. I mean, it doesn't have a whole lot to do with what's going on with the game. Let there be ties. I'm happy with it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Also,
Fair enough. I want to bring it back maybe for All-Star.
I like that idea a lot.
Yeah. Skills challenge.
I like that idea.
I'll pick that fight on my own. But when we look ahead, or actually we look at this past season, right? LA, there's been troubles. And the focus, I think, in a lot of ways has been on Chicharito being the big DP that's come over and his pedigree and all of his success in Europe and with the Mexican national team. And it just really hasn't translated onto the pitch. But it seems like there's maybe more to that. It's not just about the designated player that's getting a lot of focus, but the sort of squad overall. How are you seeing things from your perspective?
I would agree with you. I mean, you know, Calen, and we all know this, that there's always more than what we can see from the outside. And I look at this team, and yes, Chicharito has not performed up to what he expected or anybody expected. But I'll be devil's advocate with him personally on his situation. Think about it. We all know that it takes time for players to come in and adjust to this league when they've been playing somewhere else. For Chicharito, he comes in, he's here for a couple months, all of a sudden the league gets shut down. So then you have months of no play. Then he comes back, goes to the bubble, then he gets injured. And so he hasn't played for a while. Then he comes back to this, and there's 8 games left in the season, and he's only played 2 or 3. So my argument is he will never be in 100% game shape. Because it always takes, like, if you go through a full season, you always hear about teams peaking after like 4 or 5 months. That's what it usually takes. He's not going to be there at that. And then along with that, if we look at the team as a whole, I don't think right now they've had enough time to get every player in there in the right positions to do what you need to do with the Chicharito. Chicharito's not going to pick up the ball at half field, dribble 5 players, and put the ball in the back of the net. He's that out-and-out poacher goal scorer that you like to have when you're a team that can control the game for the full 90 minutes. If you go to Galaxy 2013, 2014, you know, when there was Keane, Beckham, you know, Donovan, I guarantee you Chicharito would be putting in like 6-7 goals, you know, because they could move the ball from the left to the center to the right with other teams just spinning their heads. Right now, the Galaxy aren't that team and need to figure out a way to get more like that to make the most use out of Chicharito.
Kind of piggybacking off of that thought, Cobi, after the game, Schelotto said regarding him subbing him out in the 55th minute, Galaxy were down 2-0, and they took Chicharito out. They put in Efrain Alvarez, and Schelotto said there was nothing wrong with him. We just needed more offense. And what did you make of those comments and the substitution? Because here we are talking about Chicharito as being this goal scorer, but then him saying, well, we needed more offense, kind of contradicts that. What do you make of it?
The substitution, I think, surprised everyone. The fact that Schelotto actually substituted him out because he wasn't getting the production that he wanted from him. I think it shows that there is pressure on Schelotto to make those changes now, and I think that he's feeling that pressure and he's willing to take the chance now to sub out, you know, your star player if you're not getting that performance. So you're doing, you know, kind of reverting back to when the Galaxy went on that 5-game winning streak, you know, getting some of those young players in there that, to be quite honest, are just willing to run and do the dirty work. They may not have the skill level as others, but they're willing to run and work hard, and sometimes, you know, that's what you need.
We saw some young players get an opportunity in the back line with Araujo and Dupuy as well. And then we saw the entrance of Jonathan Klinsmann in goal as well. And there's a little bit of a fight between the two Berkeley goalkeepers that I have to give a shout out to Berkeley at all times. But I guess what do you make of this? Is this something where it's actually giving guys an opportunity, or is it really searching for who can try and keep a zero?
It's all about searching for who can keep a zero. That's going to be the big issue, because we talk about up front with Chicharito, but we also got to talk about, you know, the back line, and the defense has been struggling for the Galaxy for quite some time now, and you want a goalkeeper that can keep the ball out of the back of the net. Now, what comes to light for me is the fact that Jonathan Klinsmann actually played pretty well. I mean, he made some huge saves on some shots that probably should have been goals. But then that makes me look also at David Bingham is just, wait a second, is it all the goalkeeper? Is it less of the goalkeeper stopping shots than the goalkeeper organizing and making sure that a lot of clear shots aren't coming in? Because that first goal, I mean, Calen, Susannah, you know, if a decent player has a shot from 6 yards out, he should be putting that in the back of the net. And that's exactly what happened. And then you just saw, you know, slowly but surely, the pour on by San Jose of multiple opportunities.
All right, Cobi, Galaxy currently sitting in last place in the Western Conference. They're on 15 points. But this year we've got 10 teams that are going to make the postseason, and there's still some time left for this Galaxy team to possibly put together maybe a string of results that could put them over that playoff line. Do you think, in your heart of hearts, Cobi, do you think this will happen?
I don't know, to tell you the truth. In my heart of hearts, it's difficult, and why I say this is because I've seen this team go on a 5-game win streak when I didn't think that was going to happen. Now, if they can go on a 5-game win streak when there's 7-8 games left, all of a sudden they jump. They actually, it looks like from you look at the numbers, you go, oh, they look at two games and all of a sudden they're at 21. No, as you know, other teams are playing too, so it's probably going to take 4 or 5 wins to overtake some of those teams that are right at the playoff line. So if they can go on a 5-game, 6-game winning streak, all of a sudden, they go right back. Look at San Jose. They were in the dumps a little while ago. They get like 3 or 4 wins, and all of a sudden they're above the playoff line. So it is possible, but I think it's going to take some changes and some tough decisions by the coaching staff for the Galaxy.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild end to the regular season. Let's end on a positive with you, Cobi, because there is a new mural in LA featuring your lovely face. You are up on a wall across the street from another LA legend in Kobe Bryant. How special is this for you that you have been immortalized in this way?
It's very special, Susannah. I love it, and it does me a great honor, and my family and my friends, and and I always, once I heard about it, I looked at it as kind of like a tribute, especially to my mom that passed away last year, where it's like, she would be looking down proud. I only wish that she could have seen it, but I think that she is, and that she's, proud of me and everything that we've done over the years together, and all those sacrifices that she made as when I was younger as a kid, driving all over Southern California. But the biggest thing for me is I hope it inspires as well, other kids, out there that can see this, and think for themselves that, hey, maybe I can be the next star for the LA Galaxy and get a mural for myself. That's my hope. My hope is that 10, 15, 20 years from now, whatever it takes, that my mural is painted over somewhere, and that next star, is up there. That next player, that young player right now, is so big that they're like, let's get that Cobi Jones down and put that up. That would be amazing. That I could be that inspiration for the next child to play the game.
Well, Cobi, I would just say quickly, you already have been that inspiration for players across, 100%. Especially people of color. For myself, I wore 13. All the way through high school, college, all the way through. When I got to MLS, they didn't have 13, so I had to switch to 3. But that was in honor of you. So you've already left a massive impact on everybody. But thank you so much, and thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Great to see you, Cobi. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I appreciate it. It's good to see you both. Take care.
Great to see you guys. Well, guys, early voting has begun in 25 states across the United States, and Major League Soccer and the BPC and the MLSPA have launched MLS Unites to Vote, a league-wide nonpartisan initiative to help players, staff, and fans register to vote. You can check out MLSsoccer.com/vote to learn more about how the league is looking to educate our community on the voting process, drive voter registration, and more. Time is running out. It's still possible, guys. Just make sure you're registered. Get out there. Vote. Have your voices be heard.
Left end. Big shot. It's tied. That was McKenzie flying up the middle. What a blast by McKenzie. Akinola with a header. Akinola scores to give TFC the lead.
Aaronson strike. Yes. And Aaronson scores. That's all Aaronson.
This time, the Rapids, and it's Cole Bassett once again. Would you believe it?
22 under 22 presented by Body Armor. Here is a look at winners past. Last year it was Diego Rossi at the age of 21. I mean, this is a pretty impressive list, Calen, Carr.
Yeah, not a bad list. We've got a Champions League winner there. So that's also a good start.
No big deal.
Some pretty hefty transfer fees as well, and probably more to come. But no Americans. And I think
Americans!
A couple Canadians. Shout out to Canada. But I think if it were up to me, and if you go by my vote, this year I'm hoping that might change. We'll see.
Yeah, well, there's some big news surrounding a guy who is probably, he's got a good chance of being number one on this list this year. Brenden Aaronson, he is heading to FC Salzburg. The Union made this announcement earlier today. Sources saying the initial fee is $6 million with an additional $3 million paid to the Union if certain incentives are met. He will stay with the Union for the rest of the year and then join Salzburg in January of 2021. Andrew Wiebe on Extra Time caught up with Red Bull Salzburg manager Jesse Marsch about what he was impressed with about Aaronson in recent conversations.
He asked a lot of really good questions. I always think that's important. When young players ask the right questions, then it lets you know that they understand what you're trying to communicate with them. He asked about, the formations we play, the how we use the number 10 position when we play at a 4-2-2-2, when we play in a diamond, what we ask of players in those positions. He asked to see our games as much as possible. So all these things let you know, like, this kid is serious. Like, he has the mentality to grow, to get better. He wants to do well. There's a term in German called will, and it means a want, a desire. And the sport director and the scouting team, they kept saying that he has this will, that he wants to learn, he wants to get better. And it was easy to see that in the way he plays, but also in the discussions that we've had with him.
The will, Calen. I know, I mean...
I was like, is that Jesse, just will?
Yeah, exactly. Jesse, like, we know that you speak German and it's very impressive, but, like, I could have figured that out. Will. I like okay, aside from that, what do you like about this move for Brenden Aaronson, Calen?
Everything. I think it's a dream move for him as a young player. I mean, I think he's at the right age, 19 years old. We've seen that as a really good time to move to the Bundesliga or to be playing in the Bundesliga. We've seen a bunch of Americans being successful, whether it's Christian Pulisic or Gio Reyna, Weston McKennie, and others have success at that time. And then you're also adding into the style of play, the way that they play a very up-tempo in the Red Bull system. You feel like he's going to fit in perfectly in that. Mm-hmm. Jesse Marsch mentioned he can play in a bunch of different positions. I'd expect him to be used, whether it's on the wing, whether it's in a 4-2-2-2, just sort of as an inside playmaker where he can move out wide. Really versatile young player. And I think a guy that is actually going to maybe even be better amongst better players. We've seen young players in the Bundesliga being able to find success partly because, look, they've earned the trust. They're not afraid to play him. He's got a manager that has paid a transfer fee, understands MLS, understands his manager. Of course, Jim Curtin and him played together for the Chicago Fire. So a fantastic platform for him. And when I look at Aaronson's game overall, he never really seems phased, even from the moment as a young player. He almost didn't quite recognize how good he was and how much talent was there. And now we've seen him begin to realize that. I'd expect to see that continue to rise in Germany and for Jesse Marsch. So it's super exciting, I think, and the right fit more than anything, because going abroad is great, but if you land in a tough spot, you can find yourself on the outside looking in. So I think a really good landing spot for him.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to see what he's going to do under Jesse Marsch, because we've seen what Jesse Marsch can do with young American talent. You just look at Tyler Adams. I mean, I think this is, like you said, this is the perfect landing spot for him. And I am so happy that he is going to be able to finish out this season with the Philadelphia Union, especially considering the position they're in right now. They've just clinched a playoff spot. This could be a huge year for them. And he has been a massive part of their success this year. And so, in some ways, I think maybe the Union are like, we need to take advantage of this guy while he's still with us and here. So maybe there's a little bit of added pressure for them, but I'm super happy for them that he at least is going to be able to see out the season and hopefully go on a long playoff run with that Union team. So exciting, good for him. Absolutely. Another young guy who is not eligible for the under 22 list because he hasn't been in the league long enough. But let's talk a little bit about 17-year-old Caden Clark from the New York Red Bulls, who in 2 games has scored 2 bangers. One was the game winner against Atlanta, and then another one against Toronto. I mean, this kid has just been spectacular, and he is the first MLS homegrown player to have 2 goals in each of his first 2 games. And I have to say, watching him, Calen, he looks like a young Calen Carr to me. He's got like the curly hair. Remember your like curly hair days? And he's got that cute little smile and the dimples. And it's like Calen Carr. There's a lot of similarities here. I'm just saying.
I don't know, but that left foot right there just smashes that one. He hasn't looked shy. At all. I mean, when you look at the way he's entered into these matches, and these moments are special and they're meaningful as far as points in the table. We've looked at kind of a congested schedule, fixtures, and teams have needed to go to their bench, and they've needed to go younger. And the teams that have been able to do that have found great success. It's a little bit of a unique story because he's from Minnesota, and if you're a Minnesota United fan, you've got to be watching this being like, oof, what happened here? The club did speak out and say that they tried to sign him, but credit to New York Red Bulls for getting him in the system, bringing him through the USL, finding success, and now what a talent they have. So if you look at that 22 under 22 list, he's not eligible, as you said, but he's got to be right around, as far as talent goes, right in that top 10 region, I would guess. And I just really started to sort of go back and watch some of his USL highlights. He's got good size. He's good with both feet. He's good on the turn, and he can find the right pass. And now we're seeing the finishing ability is there as well. So an exciting talent that already has been rumored with clauses and links to potentially going abroad as well, I think, within the Red Bull system.
It's already happening.
It's exciting. It's really good.
17 years old. Unbelievable. All right, the official 22 under 22 by Body Armor list will be revealed next Wednesday and Thursday. So stay tuned for that, everybody. All right, time now. Calen, at this point in the season, we're starting to look ahead to the playoffs, and there are a few teams who might be starting to feel the pressure a little bit. So we're going to go through a few teams and assess whether or not we are hitting the panic button. Okay, and we're gonna start with the Galaxy. We heard Cobi Jones talk about the Galaxy and the issues that they're having, but I want to hear it from your perspective. Are we in full-on panic mode with the Galaxy at this point?
Yes. What? I mean, they're at the bottom of the table for the Galaxy. That is unheard of in the past. I know the supporters are panicking. They are very upset. There's been it's been a difficult season for everybody, but that's not something that is unique to the Galaxy or a challenge that they are facing that others haven't. They haven't been able to find consistency in lineup choices and decisions. They had to move Leggett out, and I think this last game they played with Sasha Clutchton and in the middle of midfield, and they've just constantly had to find ways to adjust. But even with the adjustments, this roster should be far better off than they are. Mm-hmm. And the concerning part to me is I know Schelotto is, by nature, a very calm personality. That's the way he's been as a player, and I think it's the way he is as a manager. But you're wondering where the urgency is, right? Mm-hmm. Or the expression of that as much, because you're not seeing that on the pitch right now. That when it starts going 1, 2, 3, now 6 games lost in a row, and you're looking at the way it's happening too, where it's losses by big margins to San Jose, which is a rival. That's difficult to swallow for Galaxy fans. So they need to turn things around right now, hit the panic button, and really more than anything, get defensively organized and try and just move forward from there. But man. I'm going to ask you now, Susannah. I'm going to switch things to the next question. Montreal. I think they are winless in their last 8 games, I believe now. Yeah. So is it time for Montreal to hit the panic button?
I'm gonna say it is, and I'm gonna throw out a quote from Thierry Henry here. Okay, this is literally verbatim what he said. It's really hard to be positive tonight. Some nights I try to find the positives, but tonight it's really hard. They lose Taider. Clement Diop isn't there. We find ourselves down 2 goals and again trying to catch up, which makes us spend more energy. So it's hard. Okay, this is the head coach. This is Thierry Henry speaking about their last loss. And when a coach is saying it's really hard to be positive, that's a really, really, really bad sign. And yeah, like they are missing their team has been decimated either by injuries. Kyoto is out, Anthony Jackson Hamel is out, and then Diop had to go back to France for personal reasons, and they have no idea when he is going to be back. And then losing Taider is also, that he was a huge part of that offense. So you look around, you look at all those guys that are missing, and you think, where, where are the goals going to come from? How does this team come together? And this is a team that has been inconsistent all season. So I just think they're in a really, really tough spot. And I would be in full on panic mode if I were Montreal at this point, which I feel bad saying it, but
no, I think you're right on.
These facts are facts. Okay, how about Columbus, Calen? Because Columbus is taking on NYCFC this weekend, and they were just rolling for so long, and we had kind of already anointed them the top team in the Eastern Conference. I mean, they're still up there. I think they've only fallen down to third place at this point, but they're missing some guys. Haven't had the type of results we've come to expect. Are we panicking about the Columbus Crew?
No, Susannah, come on. You're better than this. Don't ask me if they're going to panic. I mean, third in the East and still within striking distance of the top two places with a couple games in a row. And when you look at what they've done, I mean, they've played against some good teams. The schedule has gotten a little bit more difficult for them, and it's also timed with some crucial absences as far as injuries. With no Zelarian, no Nagbe, and the goalkeeper room seems to be returning soon. So I think once they get these guys back, as they get towards this sort of last final stretch, they tune things up at the right time. Finish between 2-3. I could see them potentially, if they get healthier quick, moving up even further than that. So no, not panicking for Columbus. They've been the most consistent team, or one of the most consistent teams throughout the season, and still only conceded, I believe, 5 goals on the season. So they're very balanced. Yeah. Yes.
NYCFC, I'm not panicking about either. They're another team we were going to look at. But they're in 6th place right now with 28 points. I think they are 100% going to make the playoffs. I'm not concerned about that. I actually think the 1-1 result against Orlando on Wednesday was a really good result for them. Solid team performance, and honestly, if it wasn't for Brian Rowe coming up huge in that game for Orlando, I think NYCFC probably would have collected all 3 points in that one. We saw big chances from Castellanos and Gary McKay-Stevens. Tajuri Shradi had a couple good chances there. So they do have a tough schedule coming up. I think it's Columbus, Montreal, Toronto, Red Bulls, and Chicago to finish out the season. So it's not a walk in the park for NYCFC, but I'm not really concerned. I think it should point out the injuries to James Sands, who broke his foot. Hebert is out for the season with the ACL. Maxi Morales is going to be back, but he's always questionable in terms of his injury status. So they're going to need a little bit of luck in terms of just staying healthy. But overall, I'm not too concerned. I
wouldn't panic. I worry a little bit about their ceiling without Eber, and I think Sands is a very important player for them as well, too. So I worry for a club without ambition. I worry that this is maybe too tall a task for them to really get over the top and get to MLS Cup. But I think you're right. They're a solid team that's going to be squarely in the playoff position as well.
I agree. All right, Calen, it is time now for MLS Predict 6, presented by betMGM, a weekly free-to-play game from Major League Soccer. Correctly predict the final outcome of the 6 featured MLS matches, along with secondary predictions such as which player or team will score first, or how many total goals will be scored, and you could win $50,000. Head on over to MLSPredict6.com and play for free. And Calen, oh man, another offer.
What happened?
You chose NYC over New England.
Oh yeah, what could go wrong? I mean, this team, I think they've been on a great run of form at home. New England couldn't win on the road. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Yeah, it did go wrong. And me, on the other hand, now I should point out we both had we only had one game in play this week because 2 of our games got postponed. But I went 1 for 1 in that sense because I said that there would be 1 total goal between Atlanta and the Red Bulls. And thank you, Mr. Caden Clark, for scoring that late game winner, because you made me look real smart. So I'm on a roll. I'm doing great. But Calen, this is a new week. This is another chance at redemption
Susannah,
for you.
My mom called me on the phone and was like, "What's up with your picks? Like, you can't get the picks right." And Susanna's making fun of you every week. What's up with that? And I'm like, "No, she's a friend. Like, she's just giving me a hard time. It's all fun. It's all for the banter."
Friendly ribbing.
I gotta get it. We gotta get back on track.
I think this is the week you turn it around, Calen. Yeah. What's your pick?
All right, I gotta go with Toronto against Atlanta. Toronto. I mean, if I don't get this one, I'm I don't know what I'm going to do, but I need Toronto. Please, if you are a player from Toronto, if you're watching this, Richie Larea, Jonathan Osorio, Ayo, somebody, please help me out. I need
help him out.
I'm just up to now. It's turned into begging. So
Yes.
I feel pretty good about this one. Toronto against Atlanta team that
I like that one.
have it.
I like that. I feel like that's a very strong, solid pick. So I'm optimistic for you this week, buddy.
Thank you.
Okay. For my pick, I'm looking at that LAFC Portland matchup, and I am gonna go with Portland on this one. They were on a roll before they had that 5-game winning streak snapped by RSL midweek. LAFC coming off a 2-1 loss to Vancouver. The last 5 times these teams have played, LAFC has either won or it's been a draw, but this time I'm feeling like Portland has the mojo this time. They're playing at home. I don't know. It's just a gut feeling. So I think the Portland Timbers are going to take this one. Mark
I like
it,
that.
baby.
All right.
Mark it,
my
baby.
secondary pick, I'm going to go with total goals between San Jose and Seattle because you know there's going to be goals. There's goals when either of these teams play. So I'm going with 5 total goals in this one. We saw Seattle drop 7 on San Jose the last time they played. So I think this is a uniquely bad matchup for San Jose, and they are unwilling to really change their style. I understand they're on a hot streak right now, but I think that's a uniquely bad matchup trying to go one-on-one with Jordan Morris and company.
Okay.
So I'm going with 5 goals. I'm not saying how many, but I think most of them are probably going to be on the Seattle side.
Okay. All right. I like it. All right. So my secondary pick, I'm looking at that Chicago SKC matchup, and I predict the score at halftime is going to be 1-0. And I'm going to say it's going to be in favor of SKC. Chicago on short rest after their game against Minnesota was pushed back to Thursday. So I think there's going to be some tired legs to start this one out on Chicago's side, and SKC might take advantage of that in the first half. So 1-0 at the half. That's what I'm going with. I feel good about it. I mean, I should.
Hey, who am I to pick against you at this point?
Come on, let's go. All right, guys, here's a look at the games you have to look forward to this weekend. And like I said, SKC Chicago on Univision Twitter. That game on Saturday, and then Columbus versus NYCFC at 6 p.m. on Sunday. That's going to be fun.
I like that. I think those are some good ones to watch. On the Sunday games, I'm pretty interested in this LA-Vancouver game. I want to see if LA can respond, and Vancouver have been great as far as their last couple games. I want to see if they can keep above that playoff line. And then New England against Philadelphia on Monday. We don't generally get Monday Night Football, so I'm excited for that. And
Let's
we'll
go.
be clearing our schedule. You want to watch Aaronson play, right?
Go. Absolutely. Yeah. Got to watch him while we can, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you next week. Cheers. Cheers. More coffee.